Alien girl protects human soldier, whispers, "Don't ever leave me." His world had ended with a malfunction and a plunge through a reality tear, spitting him out onto a planet that shimmered under alien suns like a broken opal. Sergeant Major Caleb Vance, late of the Earth Alliance Marines, had survived the crash of the Pioneer, survived the immediate aftermath, and then when he thought he was truly alone and finished, he had stumbled into her. Or perhaps, more accurately, she had found him. He was ragged, bleeding from cuts he couldn't sterilize, and hallucinating from thirst when the ground beneath him began to glow. Not just the ground, but the air, coalescing into a form that towered over him, graceful and terrifying. She wasn't human, not remotely. Her body was slender, elongated, covered in plates that shifted with internal light, cycling through hues he didn't have names for. Her head was smooth, lacking hair, with large, multifaceted eyes that held an ancient, unnerving intelligence. She carried a staff, carved from what looked like solid starlight. He fumbled for his sidearm, a useless gesture. He couldn't even lift it properly. She regarded him with those impossible eyes, the light within her pulsing with what he registered as intense, clinical curiosity. Then she spoke. The sound wasn't just in his ears. It resonated inside his bones, a melodic chorus that conveyed meaning directly. Foreign entity. Damaged. Presence detected. Within the weave. He blinked, trying to make sense of the resonance and the impossible words. Weave? His voice was a dry rasp. The light form tilted its head, a cascade of internal color rippling down her frame. The fabric, the connection. Your resonance is discordant, yet bound. He didn't understand. All he understood was that she hadn't vaporized him yet, and the cold, the bone-deep weariness was finally starting to ease under the strange, ambient warmth radiating from her. He tried to push himself up, his muscles screaming. Do not exert, damage is extensive. Your form requires stabilization. A shimmering field extended from her hand, not touching him, but washing over him. The pain didn't vanish, but it dulled, becoming a distant echo. Stabilization. Look, thanks, but I just need to find my ship, or what's left of it, and maybe a way off this rock. Her light pulsed a deeper, warmer blue. Ship is null, weave confirms disintegration. Your presence is now singular. He slumped back against the glowing rock, despair a heavy weight on his chest. Singular, alone, stranded on an alien world with an alien being who spoke in light and resonance. He didn't even know if she was friend or foe, just that she hadn't killed him and seemed interested. You carry a resonance. Faint, but present. Unbidden, her light shifted to a soft, inquiring green. Explain origin of discordant bound resonance. He had no idea what she was talking about. All he had was his pack, his broken gear, and the lingering phantom pain of a mission gone sideways. Look, he managed, forcing a hint of his old sarcastic drawl into his voice. I'm just a guy who had a really bad day. I crashed. Ship blew up. Now I'm here. No resonance, no weave, just me and a whole lot of trouble. Her form shimmered, a ripple of internal gold. Analysis suggests falsity. Resonance is verified. You are bound. Unacknowledged. Bound? What the hell did that mean? He felt a prickle of unease. This wasn't just a rescue, if that's what this was. There was something else going on, something tied to him that he didn't understand. By the law of the Lumina, the unbidden bound must be brought before the oracle of resonance. Your life is forfeit to the weave if the bond is impure. His blood ran cold. Life forfeit. Just like that, he'd gone from a likely lonely death in the wilderness to potential execution by glowy aliens. Forfeit? Whoa, hold on. Nobody said anything about forfeiting anything. Can we just rewind? I'm the guy who crashed. You're the glow lady. Can we just keep it simple? A low, resonant sound emanated from her. Something he interpreted as amusement. Simplicity is not congruent with the weave. Your presence is anomaly. Anomaly requires resolution. She extended a limb, graceful and shimmering. It wasn't a hand, but it conveyed the clear intention of a gesture. Stand. The journey is long. He hesitated. Stand and potentially walk to his death, or stay here and surely die alone anyway. He pushed himself up, biting back a groan. The shimmering field was still there, a gentle cradle. He was too tired, too injured, to resist. He was at the mercy of the glowing alien. She turned, her form shifting to a brighter, guiding light. Follow. Do not stray from my resonance. He followed. What else could he do? The journey was less walking, more floating. The alien, whose name he learned was Callan, a sound conveyed through a particular frequency of light and resonance, projected a field that lifted him gently, carrying him over the strange, resilient flora of her world. It felt utterly bizarre, like being airlifted by a living kaleidoscope. Callan herself moved with an effortless grace, her internal light shifting with the contours of the land and, he suspected, her own thought. She spoke sparingly, and when she did, it was in the same resonant chorus, formal and precise, often using terms he couldn't grasp. The path ahead is consecrated. Your dissonance may disrupt the harmonic flow. Dissonance, he repeated, his voice still rough but regaining some strength. You mean, I'm off-key. A ripple of soft blue light moved across her surface. Analogy is rudimentary but holds partial accuracy. Your core resonance is unaligned with local weave frequencies. This indicates external origin or significant internal corruption. He sighed. External origin, check. Significant internal corruption. Depending on who you ask back on Earth Alliance Command, that might also be a check. Look, Kalen, if I'm causing problems just by existing, maybe you could just drop me off somewhere witty. I'm really not looking to corrupt your weave. Unbidden bound cannot be abandoned. Law requires presentation to Oracle. Your life is not yours to choose forfeiture here. There was no room for negotiation in her tone, in the steady pulse of her light. He was a package, a puzzle piece that had appeared in the wrong box, and the rules of her people dictated he had to be handled according to specific protocol. It felt less like being rescued and more like being apprehended by an extremely polite, luminous police force. As they moved, he started noticing more about the world. The ground they floated above wasn't solid rock, but a dense, interconnected web of shimmering fibers that hummed with low energy. Towers of crystallized light rose in the distance, piercing a sky filled with multiple, strangely colored suns. This wasn't just a planet, it was alive, structured in ways he couldn't comprehend. The structures you perceive are nodes of the weave. They channel energy and maintain harmonic balance. Kalen's resonance explained, her internal light momentarily brightening. The oracle resides within the primary node. Primary node, he murmured. Sounds important. It is the nexus of ancestral recognition and the binding point of all lumina resonance. He tried to process the concepts. Ancestral recognition? Binding points? It was like trying to understand theoretical physics using children's building blocks. So, this oracle, is it a person? Like a glowing person? The oracle is the culmination of resonant knowledge. A consciousness, not a singular form. It speaks through the vessel. Her light shifted to a deep violet. I am the vessel. Oh. 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 He looked at her, this elegant, luminous being who had rescued him, who spoke with the wisdom of what sounded like generations, and realized she wasn't just a patrol or a scout. She was something significant. Okay, he said slowly, trying to bridge the gap between his reality and hers. So, you're the Oracle's phone line. Got it. And you're taking me to talk to the phone. A flicker of something that might have been frustration rippled through her light, a rapid, chaotic burst of color. Analogy remains inadequate. The Oracle is the mind of the weave. I am its voice, its perception in this physical space. Your lack of resonant sensitivity hinders true comprehension. Yeah, well, my lack of glowing probably doesn't help either, he muttered under his breath. The humor was dry, a defense mechanism. He was scared, adrift, and completely out of his depth. The thought of facing a collective consciousness that could judge his purity based on some form of energy signature he didn't even know he had was genuinely terrifying. Fear is a discordant frequency. Suppress it. Kalen's resonance was firm, though the light on her surface softened to a gentle, steady white. Your resonance, unbidden as it is, shares characteristics with ancestral lumina patterns. This is the anomaly. requiring oracle judgment. It may indicate a forgotten bond. A forgotten bond? With him? A random human grunt? It sounded insane. But then, so did everything else about this place. He had no frame of reference, no rules to follow except hers. And right now, her rule was, follow the glow lady to the judgment dome. Great. Just another Tuesday. The journey continued across the pulsating, shimmering landscape, the towers of crystallized light growing larger, resolving into structures of impossible beauty. They seemed to be built from light itself, woven into intricate patterns that defied terrestrial architecture. As they approached the largest, most central spire, the ambient energy around them intensified, making the fine hairs on Caleb's arms stand on end. He could feel a low hum vibrating through the air, a sound that seemed to bypass his ears and resonate directly in his skull. We approach the nexus. Prepare yourself. The oracle's perception is vast. Kaelin's resonance was more intense here, her light pulsing with a controlled energy. Your dissonance will be amplified within the nexus field. Great, he mumbled. Just what I need. To be even more off-key. He felt a surge of genuine fear, the kind that made his palms sweat and his heart pound. He was about to face a judgment by a collective consciousness from an alien culture based on some mystical resonance and a potential bond he knew nothing about. This was officially the weirdest, most terrifying day of his life. As they passed through what felt like an invisible threshold, the humming intensified and the light structures around them flared. Caleb gasped as he saw shapes moving within the light, translucent figures that seemed to be composed of memory or energy. The ancestral echoes, Kaelin resonated softly, her own light dimming slightly in reverence. They bear witness. Witness to what? Him? The anomaly? He felt exposed. Every fear, every failure, every moment of weakness he'd ever experienced seemed to hang in the air, illuminated by the piercing light. It was like standing naked under a microscope. Your history, your core frequency, all is laid bare before the oracle. Kaelin's resonance explained flatly. He winced. If they could see his military record, particularly the parts that led to his disgraced status, he was definitely screwed. He tried to project an air of calm, of nonchalance, but it felt like trying to hide a supernova behind a matchbook. They reached the base of the primary spire, which opened into a vast, echoing chamber of pulsating light. In the center, the light was most intense, swirling and coalescing like a contained nebula. This, he realized with a sickening lurch, was the oracle. Kaelin guided him forward, her light a steady anchor in the overwhelming radiance. Oracle of the Weave. I present the unbidden bound, the anomaly of discordant resonance. His presence within the weave suggests a bond unacknowledged. Kaelin resonated, her voice echoing through the chamber. The central nebula of light pulsed, and a new resonance filled the space. Vast and multi-layered, like a million voices speaking at once, yet somehow unified into a single consciousness. Human, unbidden, your resonance is familiar. Yet alien, the oracle's voice filled his mind, not with sound, but with pure understanding. A fragment of the Old Covenant. Caleb's mind reeled. Old Covenant? What were they talking about? He felt a probing presence, gentle but inexorable, sifting through his memories, his emotions, his very being. It didn't feel violating, exactly. More like an incredibly thorough medical scan. He felt moments from his past flicker through the resonance, the dust of a failed mission, the taste of ration packs, the cold dread of command decisions gone wrong, the ache of loneliness. He tensed, bracing for judgment, for rejection. But the oracle's resonance remained neutral, observing, you carry the mark of the guardian bloodline, human. A faint echo across the void. The guardian bloodline? He had no idea what that was. His family history was unremarkable. A line of farmers, mechanics, soldiers. No ancient alien covenants or guardian bloodlines mentioned. The echo is undeniable, but weak, faded by generations. The oracle's light pulsed with what felt like contemplation. Kaelin, vessel of the oracle, the unbidden bound, carries the potential resonance of the Old Covenant. Law dictates a trial, a ritual of validation. Kaelin straightened, her light snapping to a sharp, formal blue. Oracle, I await instruction. You will test him against the ancient enemy. If his resonance proves true, if the bond holds, he is luminous. If not, he is dust. The implications of the Oracle's judgment settled over Caleb like a shroud. Guardian bloodline, old covenant, ancient enemy, trial by combat. It sounded like something out of a fantasy novel, not the reality he was living. He was a disgraced soldier, not some prophesied warrior, but his current reality involved a glowing collective consciousness and its luminous vessel standing before him, outlining the terms of his potential survival. The trial requires facing a fragment of the shadowed kindred. Kaelin resonated, her light now a steady, resolute goal. They are the discordant chaos that opposes the weave. They seek to unravel resonance. Shadowed kindred, he repeated, the name chilling him despite the warmth of the chamber. It sounded nasty. Your bloodline, in the old covenant, were guardians against their incursion. Your resonance carries the potential echo of that defense, Kaelin explained. The trial will test if that echo has substance, if you possess the inherent frequency to repel the shadowed kindred. Caleb felt a wave of dry humor bubble up despite the fear. So my ancestors were apparently space ghostbusters, and now I have to prove I inherited the proton pack. Kaelin's light pulsed faintly, a color he was starting to associate with bewilderment. Proton pack? I do not recognize the term. It's a metaphor, he sighed. Meaning, do I have the goods? The glow-repelling mojo? You will face in a manifestation, a contained incursion point. Your capacity for protective resonance will be measured. Kaelin's resonance was somber. Many have failed the trial. The shadowed kindred inflict a silence upon the weave. A loss of resonance. He didn't like the sound of that. Loss of resonance sounded a lot like death. Or worse, you will be granted a tool for the trial. Kaelin indicated a pedestal rising from the floor of the chamber, upon which lay an object that pulsed with a soft, internal light. It looked like a staff, similar to Kaelin's but smaller, and its light seemed to synchronize slightly with the faint, unbidden energy he felt humming inside him. This is a resonant focus. It amplifies intrinsic frequency. For the trial, it is yours. She resonated. He approached it cautiously, reaching out a hand. As his fingers brushed the surface, the light within the focus flared, sending a warmth up his arm that felt right, like a missing piece, clicking into place. It was strange, unsettlingly familiar. The focus recognizes your potential echo, Kaelin observed. A promising start. Promising start?
He was about to fight a fragment of ancient evil with a glow stick he just picked up.
This was definitely not in the Marine Handbook. I will accompany you to the trial chamber, but the trial itself is solitary. The Oracle must perceive your resonance directly. Kaelin led him out of the Oracle chamber, the transition feeling like stepping from blinding light into deep twilight. The surrounding structures were still luminous, but the air felt cooler, the humming less intense. As they moved through the city of light, he felt a growing sense of unease. This ritual, this trial felt deeply personal to Kaelin. Was she just following orders, or was there something more at stake for her? Your thoughts are discordant, human. Focus on the trial. Kaelin's resonance cut through his speculation, firm. Failure affects not only you. The validation of the old covenant is a matter of great significance to the Lumina. Significant how? Was his potential bond tied to their history, their safety? Was Kaelin's role as vessel somehow dependent on him passing this test? He looked at her, her form radiating calm control, but he sensed a tension in the rhythm of her light. She wasn't just performing a duty, there was a burden there, one tied to the ancient past and potentially his unexpected future. They arrived at a separate structure, smaller and darker than the central spire, situated on the periphery of the light city. Its walls seemed to absorb light rather than emit it, giving it a stark, ominous presence. The trial chamber, Kaelin resonated, her light dimming further as they approached. Within are controlled incursion points of the shadowed kindred. The air here felt heavy, charged with a static energy that prickled his skin. Take the focus. Step within the threshold when ready. The Oracle will perceive. She held out the glowing staff. He took it. the warmth settling into his grip. It felt balanced, lighter than it looked. "So," he said, trying to sound braver than he felt. "Just me, my glow stick, and the spooky shadows. Your intrinsic resonance is the weapon, human. The focus is merely an amplifier. You must connect to the echo within you." Kalen's light pulsed a soft, steady reassurance, a color he associated with quiet strength. "Do not allow their discord to silence your frequency. Silence your frequency." That phrase sent a chill down his spine. It wasn't just about physical survival. It was about something deeper, something existential. He took a deep breath, the strange air filling his lungs. He was a soldier. He faced impossible odds before. This was just new packaging. He stepped towards the threshold, the dark entrance seeming to swallow the light around it. He turned back to Kalen. "Hey, thanks for the lift." And the context. A faint ripple of soft gold crossed Kalen's surface, almost too quick to perceive. The weave guides all resonance. "Now, face the trial for the covenant." He nodded, clutching the resonant focus. Then he stepped into the darkness. The interior of the chamber was disorienting. Not pitch black, but filled with shifting, indistinct shadows that seemed to writhe at the edges of his vision. A low, grating sound filled the air, a dissonance that felt like fingernails on a chalkboard, directed straight into his mind. He raised the resonant focus defensively. The light within it intensified, pushing back the closest shadows. He felt the warmth spread from the staff, through his arm, into his chest. The faint hum inside him grew stronger, a counter-frequency to the grating noise. Discord, weak. The grating sounds seemed to form words, insidious whispers that wormed into his thoughts. Guardian echo faded. Silence is inevitable. He gritted his teeth. He wouldn't be silenced. He focused on the feeling of the focus in his hand, the warmth, the growing hum within him. He thought of Kalen, of the strange, beautiful city of light, of the stakes she had mentioned. He pushed back against the intrusive thoughts, focusing his will. The light from the focus flared, brighter this time, and the grating sound momentarily faltered. He saw movement in the shadows, darker shapes coalescing. They weren't solid, but seemed to be made of absence, of voids in the light. These shadowed kindred. He heard Kalen's resonance, faintly, in his mind. Protect your resonance. Project the echo. He focused, channeling his fear and determination into the humming energy. The focus pulsed in time with his heart. He thrust the staff forward, aiming its light at the nearest manifestant. A beam of pure light shot out, hitting the shadow shape. It recoiled, shrinking back, but not dissipating. It was a struggle, not of physical force, but of energy, of will, of resonant frequency. He felt drained, the effort immense, but the shadows didn't overwhelm him. He was pushing them back. The trial was a grueling battle of wills and resonance. Caleb fought the encroaching shadows, focusing the light from the resonant focus, pushing back against the insidious discord that tried to silence the growing hum within him. He felt moments of pure clarity, where the energy flowed through him effortlessly, amplifying his intrinsic frequency into a shield that made the shadows recoil. Other times, the discord was overwhelming, creeping into his mind, whispering doubts, fears, dredging up regrets from his past. "You failed them. You will fail again." The whispers were insidious, targeting his deepest wounds. But he fought back, remembering the feel of the focus, the warmth spreading through him. He thought of Kalen, her quiet strength, the burden she carried. He wouldn't fail her. He wouldn't let this ancient darkness silence him. He pushed harder, projecting every ounce of stubbornness, every refusal to quit that had ever defined him. The light from the focus flared brighter than ever before, a blinding white beam that sliced through the oppressive shadows. A keening, grating sound echoed through the chamber as the shadow shapes recoiled, shrinking, dispersing. The pressure lessened, the oppressive feeling receded, the grating whispers faded. He stood in the relative quiet, panting, the resonant focus trembling slightly in his hand, its light still intense but settling back into a steady hum. He had done it, he had pushed them back. He felt a sense of exhaustion so profound it went bone deep. but also a surge of triumphant adrenaline. The door he had entered through slid open silently, revealing Kaelin bathed in the soft light of the luminous city. Her form radiated a brighter, more vibrant energy than he had seen before. The Oracle perceives, she resonated, her voice carrying a note he hadn't heard, something akin to relief, maybe even awe. Your resonance holds true. The old covenant echo is validated. He leaned on the focus, catching his breath. So, I passed? You did not merely pass, human, Kaelin resonated, stepping fully into the chamber. The darkness seemed to shrink further from her presence. Your projection was powerful, stronger than many descended lumina who carry the covenant echo. She approached him slowly, her multifaceted eyes seeming to gaze into his very core. The Oracle declares your bond acknowledged. You are Lumina, of the Guardian bloodline. Lumina? Of the Guardian bloodline? He was suddenly an official member of the glowing alien space Ghostbusters. It was absurd. Hold on, he said, holding up a hand. Lumina, I'm human, like regular, non-glowing human. The bond transcends physical form, human. It is of resonance, of spirit. Your capacity for protection against the shadowed kindred is validated by the trial. This makes you kin. Kaelin's light pulsed with conviction. By Lumina law, the acknowledging of a covenant bond initiates a ritual of merging, to solidify the connection to the we. Ritual of merging? That didn't sound like a simple handshake. Ritual of merging? What does that entail? He asked cautiously, his military training screaming, identify and assess the threat. But the only threat here was the potential for overwhelming weirdness. Kaelin's light shifted to a color he couldn't quite decipher, a complex blend of gold and violet. The ritual of merging is a deep communion of resonance, a joining of frequencies. It ensures the covenant bond is stable, integrated into the weave. For those of the Guardian line, it requires significant intimacy. Intimacy. The word hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Caleb stared at her, his mind raced. Intimacy? With her? The Glow Lady Oracle vessel? This was escalating rapidly, and not in a way his training had prepared him for. The word intimacy resonated in the quiet chamber, echoing in Caleb's mind. He looked at Kaelin, at her graceful, luminous form, so utterly alien, and tried to process the implication. Significant intimacy. It wasn't just a cultural quirk. The way Kaelin's light shifted, the subtle tension in her posture, even though she was glowing alien, he could read the weight of the statement. The ritual of merging for a guardian bond requires a full synchronization of frequencies. Skin-to-skin contact is necessary to bridge the resonant gap between disparate forms. Kaelin explained, her voice softer now, the formal precision layered with something else. Something vulnerable. It is a sacred act. Not undertaken lightly. Sacred act. Skin-to-skin contact. His brain was struggling to keep up. He had spent weeks fighting to survive, days trying to understand this alien world, hours battling shadow monsters with a glowing stick, and now he was being told his reward, or perhaps the next step, involved a ritual requiring, well, sex, with his alien rescuer, jailer, oracle voice. So, he said, choosing his words carefully, feeling heat creep up his neck, when you say significant intimacy, are we talking like hand-holding or something a little more involved? Kaelin's light shifted again, a ripple of soft gold and green. Involved, profoundly so. The merging is intended to bind resonance at a core level. It facilitates the transfer of ancestral knowledge, the full activation of the covenant echo within you. Her light deepened, becoming a rich, warm gold. It is also, traditionally, a bonding act between the guardian and the lumina responsible for the validation. In this instance, I myself, the air crackled with unspoken tension. She was saying that passing the trial meant he was now ritually obligated to undergo a merging, and the person performing it, the person he would be bound to, was her. The vessel of the oracle, the one who had found him, judged him, and now, apparently, was meant to merge with him. Okay, he said slowly. So let me get this straight. I crash land, fight some spooky shadows, and now, because of some ancient alien prophecy and my supposed echo, I'm ritually bound. The term sex carries connotations of biological reproduction and casual interaction. This is a merging of resonant frequencies, a sacred binding. It is more Kalen's light settled into a steady, intense white. It is a joining of souls, if your terminology is adequate. It creates a permanent link within the weave. A permanent link. A joining of soul. He swallowed hard. This wasn't just a physical act. It was something deeply spiritual, culturally significant, and apparently irreversible. He looked at her, at the complex light within her, the strange, alien beauty of her form. He barely knew her, yet they were already bound by circumstance, by trial, and now, potentially, by this ancient ritual. The oracle requires the merging to commence swiftly. The validation is incomplete without it. Kalen resonated, her light pulsing with urgency. The shadowed kindred felt your power during the trial. Your unintegrated resonance is a beacon to them. The merging will stabilize your frequency, integrate you fully into the weave's protection. The external threat, the villain, was forcing this intimacy. The shadowed kindred, their ancient enemy, was the reason this merging had to happen now. It wasn't just a cultural rite, it was a matter of survival. For him and perhaps for the Lumina too. Are you willing, human? The choice is yours. But to refuse is to leave your resonance exposed, and to leave the covenant bond vulnerable. It is also a rejection of the Lumina law that now encompasses you. The weight of the choice settled on him. Refuse and potentially doom himself, and maybe even her people, to the shadowed kindred. Or embrace the utterly alien, incredibly intimate ritual that would bind him to her forever. There really wasn't a choice, was there? Caleb looked at Kalen, at the urgent light pulsing within her. He understood the gravity of the situation now. The shadowed kindred weren't just some abstract threat. They were real, and his validated resonance, his guardian echo, made him a target. The merging wasn't just a formality, it was a necessary act of integration and protection. And it had to be with her. He took another deep breath, his mind racing. This was insane. Completely. Utterly insane. But he was a soldier. He adapted. He survived. And maybe, just maybe, this impossible situation was also an opportunity. He looked at Kalen, truly looked at her, past the alien form, past the oracle vessel role, and saw a being of immense strength and quiet dignity, carrying the burden of her people and their ancient laws. He saw the vulnerability in the subtle shifts of her light, the unspoken plea in the rhythm of her resonance. Willing, he asked, his voice low. Given the alternative. Yeah, I guess I'm willing. But you need to walk me through this, Kalen. I don't know what this means for me, for you, for any of it. I will guide you, human. The ritual is complex, but instinctual for those of the guardian line once resonance is aligned. Kalen resonated, her light softening slightly, the urgency still present but tempered with a new intensity. The ritual chamber is consecrated for the merging. It provides the necessary resonant field. She gestured back towards the interior of the dark structure. Step within. He hesitated for a moment, then nodded. There was no going back now. He stepped across the threshold, the air inside still heavy, but the grating discord of the shadowed kindred was absent, replaced by a low, resonant hum, different from the oracle's but equally profound. Kalen followed him in, and the entrance sealed behind them with a soft click of shifting light. The chamber wasn't empty. In the center lay a raised platform of polished stone that absorbed the ambient light, making it seem darker than the surroundings. The confluence stone, Kalen resonated. It focuses the weave's energy. You will lie upon it. Caleb's heart hammered against his ribs. This was really happening. He approached the stone platform, the surface cool and smooth beneath his touch. He lay down as instructed, feeling exposed and vulnerable. Kalen approached the platform, her light now a captivating display of swirling, complex colors, expressing emotions he couldn't name, but felt resonate deep within him. Reverence, duty, anticipation, and perhaps a flicker of something personal. Remove your outer covering, human, she resonated. Right. Skin to skin. He unbuckled his damaged armor, shed his ripped and stained fatigues, until he was naked on the stone. The air in the chamber was warm, strangely humid. Kalen's light intensified, focusing on him. He watched, mesmerized and terrified, as her external plates began to shift, not in a mechanical way, but as if dissolving. Beneath them, a soft, internal glow became visible, pulsing with a rhythm that mirrored the hum of the chamber. Her form seemed to become less rigid, more fluid, the light within her rippling and flowing. "Your form is different," Kaelin resonated, her voice laced with a newfound curiosity. "Your surface is soft, warm." She reached out a limb, no longer plated, but flowing light. She touched his chest. The touch was like nothing he had ever experienced, not just physical contact, but a merging of energies. A wave of pure sensation washed over him, warmth, light, resonance. It felt like his very atoms were singing. Kaelin lowered herself onto the confluence stone beside him, her light form adjusting to encompass him. It wasn't just her touch, it was the intertwining of their forms, the blending of his solid flesh with her flowing light. "Allow your resonance to open, human." She resonated, her voice now a chorus that felt like it was coming from within him, as much as from her. "Release the fear. Embrace the weave." He did. He let go of the fear, the confusion, the sheer impossibility of it all. He focused on the sensation, the merging light and warmth. He felt his own faint hum strengthen, rising to meet her vibrant resonance. Their lights intertwined, his subtle glow merging with her dazzling display. He felt a connection deeper than physical touch, deeper than thought. Memories, sensations, fragments of understanding flooded his mind. Not his own memories, but flashes of alien history, of ancient battles against the shadowed kindred, of the strength of the guardian line, of the vast, interconnected beauty of the weave. It was overwhelming, exhilarating, terrifying. He gasped, clinging to the reality of his own consciousness, as the alien knowledge washed through him. This is the merging, the joining of resonant histories. Kaelin resonated, her light pulsing in sync with his now. Our frequencies are aligning. Our bond is forged. The intimacy wasn't just physical. It was a merging of minds, of histories, of spirits. He felt her presence within him, not just as a physical weight, but as a part of his own consciousness. And he knew with absolute certainty that he was bound to her, not just by ritual, but by something far more profound. The merging intensified, becoming a torrent of sensation and understanding. Caleb's human senses reeled under the influx of alien resonance and memory. He felt the ancient pain of battles fought long ago, the triumph of victories won against the shadowed kindred, the deep, abiding connection of the Lumina people to their weave. Kaelin's light pulsed around him, through him, her form shifting and flowing against his skin in ways that defied his understanding of anatomy, yet felt utterly, overwhelmingly intimate. It was a physical connection powered by energy, by resonance, by a merging of consciousness. He felt her emotions flow into him, the weight of her responsibility as vessel, the loneliness of her duty, the quiet hope tied to the validation of the old covenant, and a growing, hesitant tenderness directed towards him. "Your resonance is strong, human." The echo sings within the weave. Kaelin resonated, her voice a soft chorus in his mind and body. The merging is complete. Our frequencies are bound. A wave of pure exhaustion washed over him as the intensity subsided, the torrent of alien knowledge slowing to a gentle stream. Kaelin's light settled, her form solidifying slightly, though still glowing softly. She lay beside him on the confluence stone, her touch now a steady, comforting presence. He was still naked, vulnerable, but the vulnerability felt different now, shared. He looked at her, at the intricate patterns of light within her, and felt a sense of awe, and something else he couldn't quite name, a protective instinct, a feeling of belonging. The shadowed kindred can no longer use your unintegrated resonance as a beacon. Kaelin resonated, her light steadying. You are shielded by the weave, anchored by our bond. The immediate threat felt less pressing now, the external conflict momentarily receding in the face of this profound, intimate connection. He moved closer to her, on the stone, reaching out a hand hesitantly. His fingers brushed her glowing surface. It felt warm, vibrant, alive in a way he couldn't describe. You are of the Lumina now, human, In spirit, if not in form, Kaelin resonated, her light pulsing softly against his touch. Your life is no longer forfeit. It is intertwined with mine, with the weave. Intertwined. The word felt permanent, heavy with consequence. He was no longer just a stranded soldier. He was part of something vast, ancient, alien. And he was bound to this incredible being beside him. He didn't understand it all. Not by a long shot. The rituals, the resonance, the weave. It was still mostly a mystery. But he understood the feeling of her light against his skin, the echo of her consciousness within his mind, the quiet strength he sensed emanating from her. He had been alone for so long, first adrift in space, then stranded on this world. Now he wasn't alone. Kaelin, he said, his voice rough but steady. What happens now? Kaelin's light shifted, a pattern of soft gold and violet. Now, we face the consequences of the merging. For you, acceptance within the Lumina, conditional upon your full integration. For me, sent to the Oracle will decree my new role as your bond partner. It is a change. She paused, her light dimming slightly. My position as vessel requires a singular focus. A bond partner is not traditionally part of that path. So, their bond, while sanctioned by the Oracle, might complicate her role. His existence here, even validated, was still an anomaly. The shadowed kindred were repelled by your resonance during the trial, but they felt its nature. Kaelin resonated, her light becoming sharp, focused. They will seek to sever our bond, to silence the guardian echo they perceive. Our fight is not over. The external threat, though diminished for now, was still present, and their newly forged bond made them a specific target. The merging had secured his place within the weave, but it had also marked them both. He tightened his hand on the confluence stone, feeling the residual warmth. Their survival, their future, was now inextricably linked. He looked at Kaelin, at the determination radiating from her light. He might not understand the weave or the covenant, but he understood duty, and he understood protecting what was suddenly, inexplicably, his. In the aftermath of the merging, the quiet of the chamber felt profound. Caleb lay beside Kaelin on the confluence stone, their forms still close, their light and physical presence intertwined. The torrent of alien knowledge had receded, leaving behind a sense of deep connection and a multitude of questions. He felt different, lighter somehow, as if a new sense had been unlocked within him. He could still sense the faintest hum of the weave, a subtle vibration beneath everything. The merging has integrated your frequency into the weave's harmonic flow. Kaelin resonated, her voice back to its clear, resonant tone, though softer than before. You are no longer dissonant. He felt a sense of relief at that. Not being off-key in an alien world was a small victory. He slowly sat up, the resonant focus lying beside him on the stone. He picked it up. Its light felt like an extension of his own energy now. The focus amplifies your inherent resonance, Kaelin explained, rising with fluid grace, her light steady and bright. With the bond solidified, you have full access to the guardian echo within you. Full access. He looked at the focus, then at Kaelin. He was a disgraced soldier who had just become a warrior in an ancient alien war, powered by a mystical bond forged through a ritual of light and resonance. It was still surreal. He reached for his discarded clothing, feeling a moment of awkwardness. Kaelin's light pulsed with what he now recognized as subtle amusement. Physical form requires covering in the public spaces. She resonated. Though the weave perceives beyond such superficiality, well, my superficiality gets cold, he muttered, pulling on his ripped fatigues. The dry humor felt like a lifeline to his old self. He glanced at Kaelin, whose form was now covered again by her shimmering plates. Though the soft internal glow was still visible through the seams, he could still feel the echo of her touch, the intertwining of their light, a phantom sensation on his skin. The door to the chamber opened again, revealing the brighter, bustling light of the luminous city. A small group of other lumina, their forms radiating different patterns and colors of light, stood waiting. They regarded him with what seemed like a mix of curiosity and caution. The Oracle has decreed your presence among the lumina. As bonded guardian, Kaelin resonated, stepping towards the entrance. You will be presented to the Council of Elders. Your place and mine will be formally established. His place and hers. Their bond wasn't just personal. It had immediate and significant cultural implications. He followed Kalen out of the chamber, walking among the glowing beings, feeling acutely human, acutely alien, and profoundly connected to the luminous woman beside him. He noticed the other Lumina giving Kalen appraising looks, their light shifting with what he now sensed as unspoken questions, perhaps even judgment. Her role as vessel was highly esteemed, but being bonded guardian to an unbidden, newly validated human, that was clearly unprecedented. There will be adjustments. Kalen resonated, her light betraying a hint of strain. Tradition is strong among the Lumina. Yeah, well, I'm pretty good at adjusting, he said, trying for reassurance, though his stomach clenched with nerves. Been doing it my whole life. Usually involves more explosions, less glowing, a faint ripple of soft gold, that expression of alien amusement, crossed Kalen's surface. Your capacity for adaptation is noted. They walked through the city, the structures humming with life and energy. He was no longer just passing through. He was a part of this world now, linked to its weave, bound to its vessel. It was terrifying, exhilarating, and utterly, bewilderingly real. He wasn't alone anymore. The presentation to the Council of Elders was a formal, resonant affair held in a chamber of swirling light. The elders, ancient and radiating immense power, pulsed with deep, slow rhythms of light and sound. They regarded Caleb with intense scrutiny, their collective resonance probing and evaluating him. Kalen stood beside him, her light steady, radiating calm and unwavering support. Oracle has confirmed the validation of the old covenant echo within the human Vance. Kalen resonated, addressing the elders with formal reverence. The ritual of merging is complete. His resonance is bound to mine, anchored within the weave. The elders pulsed in unison, a deep vibrating chord that resonated through the chamber. The human carries the mark of the guardian line. One elder resonated, its light a deep ancient violet. His power against the shadowed kindred was perceived. He is accepted as bonded guardian. Accept. The word felt heavy with significance, but the acceptance came with conditions. His integration must be absolute. Another elder resonated, its light a sharp crystalline blue. He must learn the ways of the Lumina, the protocols of the guardian line. His connection to the weave must deepen. Kalen, as vessel and bonded partner, your duty is now twofold. A third elder resonated, its light a steady, demanding red. You must guide his integration. You must train him. The threat of the shadowed kindred grows bolder with each passing cycle. Kalen's light snapped to a crisp, formal blue. I accept this duty. Elders, I will guide the bonded guardian. I will ensure his integration. The meeting concluded, the elders' light dimming slightly, as their attention shifted back to the vast network of the weave. Caleb felt drained, the resonant vibrations leaving him buzzing. Kalen turned to him, her light softer now. The path ahead is challenging, human. The Lumina expect much of a bonded guardian. Human Vance, he murmured. Guess I have a new title. He looked at Kalen. And you have a new job description. Sorry to complicate things. A faint ripple of soft gold crossed her surface. My path is the weave's path. It has merely branched unexpectedly. She paused, her light shifting, becoming more hesitant. Our bond is unique. There are no precedents for a vessel forming a bond with an unbidden. Unique, he echoed. Story of my life, he looked at her, sensing the weight of the cultural implications, the potential strain on her standing. Hey, he said, his voice low and serious, back in the chamber, when everything was merging. I felt stuff, things that weren't mine. Your emotions, your loneliness. Kalen's light pulsed faintly, a deep violet expressing surprise and perhaps vulnerability. The merging created a deep resonant link. She resonated softly. Such sharing is possible between bonded partners. Possible? Kalen, I felt you, he said, stepping closer. I felt what you carry, this duty. It's heavy. He reached out hesitantly, his fingers hovering near her glowing surface. It is the way of the vessel. She resonated, her light steadying. but he sensed the truth beneath the formal words. It was heavy. He touched her arm gently. The warmth, the light, flowed into him, an echo of the merging. Caleb. Kalen resonated, using his name, not his designation, for the first time. Her light softened, radiating a warmth that went beyond mere energy. Your resonance is strong. Your presence anchors me. The vulnerability was clear now, a shimmering thread woven through her light. This wasn't just a ritualistic bond. It was a personal one, forged in shared peril and intimate connection. The external threats and cultural hurdles were still there, but between them, in the quiet space, carved out by their merging, something profound and real had taken root. He felt a surge of protectiveness, a fierce desire to defend this luminous, complex being who had saved him and bound herself to him. Their future was uncertain, fraught with challenges, but they would face it together. Life as a bonded guardian among the Lumina was a steep learning curve. Caleb spent his cycles learning the intricacies of the weave, practicing with the resonant focus, and trying to decipher the complex social protocols of a culture that communicated as much through light and resonance as through spoken words. Kalen was his constant guide, his teacher, his anchor. She was patient, formal, and utterly dedicated to his integration and to their shared duty. Their bond, forged in the ritual chamber, was a constant presence between them. He could sense her emotions, her thoughts, a subtle undercurrent in his own consciousness, and he knew she could sense his. This made communication efficient, but also complicated. There was no hiding anything from her. His frustration with Lumina Customs, his lingering grief for his lost crew, his confusing, burgeoning feelings for her. She perceived it all through the resonant link. Your resonance is troubled, Caleb. Kalen would resonate softly when he was struggling, her light pulsing with gentle inquiry. The complexities of Lumina interaction require careful modulation. Yeah, well, my brain wasn't wired for careful modulation in the middle of a cultural minefield, he'd grumble, trying to navigate a greeting ritual that involved specific patterns of light he couldn't replicate. Kalen would project a faint ripple of gold, her alien expression of dry amusement. Their training wasn't just cultural, it was combat training. The shadowed kindred were a persistent threat, their incursions growing more frequent. Kalen trained him in using the resonant focus, showing him how to channel his amplified echo into protective shields and focused beams of light. She was a formidable warrior, her movements precise and deadly, her light flaring with controlled power. He, with his human form and more conventional combat instincts, had to adapt his skills to this new resonant warfare. They trained together in echoing chambers, their light intertwining and separating in intricate patterns. The physical exertion, the shared focus, the constant resonant connection, it built a different kind of intimacy, one rooted in shared purpose and mutual reliance. Sometimes, after a particularly intense training session, exhausted and wired, the deep connection forged in the merging chamber would reassert itself. The line between physical touch and resonant merging would blur. They would seek the quiet of a secluded node within the city, away from prying lights and sensing elders. There the formality would drop away. Kalen's light would soften, her plates dissolving to reveal the glowing form beneath. He would touch her skin against flowing light, and the merging would happen again, a joining of frequencies, a release of tension, a profound, wordless communication. These moments were intense, vulnerable, stripping away the layers of cultural difference and shared duty to reveal the raw emotional core of their bond. They were more than just bonded guardian and vessel. They were Caleb and Kalen, two beings from different worlds, finding solace and connection in the merging of their very essences. And after, lying intertwined on the luminous ground, the silence would be filled with unspoken emotions, perceived through the resonant link. You carry the scars of your past, Caleb. Kalen resonated one cycle, her light a soft, comforting blue against his cheek. They do not diminish your light, they shape it. He had never confessed the full weight of his past failures, his disgrace. But he didn't need to. She knew, she felt it, and she accepted it. In those quiet moments, The weight of the world, the threat of the shadowed kindred, the complexity of their cultural situation would recede. There was only the two of them, bound by resonance, by shared vulnerability, by a love that defied logic and form. It was a fragile peace, a stolen intimacy in the heart of a brewing storm. The storm broke. The shadowed kindred launched a coordinated assault on the luminous city, targeting key nexus nodes. The air filled with the grating discord, amplified 1,000-fold, tearing at the fabric of the weave. Alarms blared, not sound but a violent, chaotic flashing of red light throughout the city, a resonant shriek of warning. Caleb and Kalen were thrust into the heart of the defense. As bonded guardian and vessel, their place was at the forefront, defending the primary oracle node. They moved together, a unit forged in ritual and training. Caleb wielded his resonant focus. Kalen fought with her staff of starlight, their movements synchronized by the constant flow of their bond. Shadow shapes poured into the city, twisting the luminous architecture into grotesque parodies of itself, extinguishing the light, spreading silence. The Lumina warriors fought back, their own light flaring in defiance. But the enemy was numerous, relentless. They seek to silence the oracle, to sever the weave. Kalen resonated, her light pulsing with fierce determination as she repelled a wave of shadows with a blinding blast from her staff. Caleb was at her side, projecting a wide shield of resonant light from his focus, protecting their flank. He felt the grating discord trying to penetrate his shield, trying to worm its way into his mind, whispering lies and doubts. But the hum within him, amplified by the focus and anchored by Kalen's presence, held firm. Together, Caleb, focus your echo. Kalen's resonance was a steady beacon in the chaos. He channeled his energy, focusing on the feeling of their bond, the warmth of their merging. The light from his focus narrowed into a piercing beam, striking a large shadow manifestation that was clawing at the walls of the oracle node. The shadow shrieked, a sound that felt like tearing metal, and dissolved into nothingness. Well done, bonded guardian. Kalen resonated, a rare note of praise in the heat of battle. But there was no time to celebrate. More shadows surged forward. They fought side by side, a seamless blend of human stubbornness and lumina grace, of physical strength and resonant power. Caleb's training kicked in, instincts honed by years of combat merging with his newfound abilities. He anticipated Kalen's movements. She anticipated his needs, their bond allowing for a level of coordination impossible otherwise. They were a living embodiment of the old covenant, the guardian and the vessel, defending the weave. But the sheer numbers of the shadowed kindred were overwhelming. They were being pushed back, the defensive line thinning. The oracle node is vulnerable. We must hold the threshold. Kalen resonated, her light flickering with strain. A massive wave of shadow shapes converged on them, a wall of pure absence. Caleb and Kalen stood their ground, raising their weapons, pouring all their energy into one final defense. Now, Caleb, project everything. Kalen's resonance was a command, an exhortation. He roared, a human sound in the alien cacophony, and channeled every ounce of his strength, his fear, his love, into the resonant focus. The light from it erupted, a blinding nova of pure, incandescent resonance that slammed into the advancing shadows. At the same time, Kalen unleashed the full power of her staff, a surge of starlight energy that met his nova. The two blasts merged, creating a wave of light so powerful it seemed to tear through reality itself. A deafening shriek, felt more than heard, echoed through the city as the wave of light and resonance washed over the shadowed kindred. The shadows recoiled, dissolving, scattering like smoke before a hurricane. The grating discord faltered, then faded. The pressure lifted. The air in the city shimmered as the weave stabilized, pushing back the remnants of the incursion. Silence fell, broken only by the faint, steady hum of the recovering weave. They stood amidst the fading light, panting, exhausted, but victorious. They had held the line. They had saved the oracle node. They had saved the weave. Together, in the aftermath of the battle, the luminous city hummed with a different energy, relief, exhaustion, and a quiet sense of victory. The shadowed kindred had been repelled, the weave secured, at least for now. Caleb and Kalen stood near the threshold they had defended. Covered in the dust of crumbled light structures, their own internal light dimmed by exertion, other Lumina warriors approached, their light expressing reverence and gratitude. They had witnessed the power of the bonded guardian, the strength of the old covenant, renewed. You fought with the spirit of the ancient guardians, human Vance. An elder resonated, its light pulsing with approval. Your resonance was a shield against the discord. Caleb nodded, leaning on the resonant focus, too tired for witty remarks. He looked at Kalen, who met his gaze with a steady, intense light. The battle had stripped away all pretense. They had faced death together, fought as one, relying completely on their bond. Later, in the quiet of a secluded node, the adrenaline faded, leaving behind a profound weariness. They were alone, together. Kalen's light was soft, weary. Her plates dissolved, revealing the glowing form beneath, the light pulsing with a slow, tired rhythm. Caleb shed his damaged gear. He reached for her, and she came into his arms. Light meeting flesh. This time, the merging wasn't a ritual or a torrent of alien knowledge. It was a quiet, desperate seeking of solace, a communion of two souls who had faced down the darkness and found strength in each other. Their light and warmth intertwined, a gentle pulse of reassurance. It was a physical and resonant intimacy born of shared trauma, a silent confession of need. He held his, feeling the soft flow of her light against his skin, the steady hum of her presence in his mind. He felt her weariness, her relief, the lingering fear, and beneath it all, the deep current of their bond. Caleb, she resonated, her voice a soft chorus against his ear, her light pulsing with raw emotion. When I found you, I did not know the Weave's plan, only that you were bound. Her light shifted, a pattern of vulnerability he hadn't seen before. Facing them, facing the silence, I feared. She tightened her hold on him, her light pressing closer. But your light was a shield. You protected us all. He held her tighter, his hand stroking the smooth, luminous surface of her back. We protected each other, Kalen. Yes, she resonated, her light soft and warm, bonded. She shifted slightly, pulling back just enough to look at him, her multifaceted eyes filled with an emotion that transcended species and form. Don't ever leave me. The words resonated not just in his mind, but deep in his heart, a plea woven into the fabric of their bond. His own emotions surged, protectiveness, awe, a love that felt as vast and impossible as the stars he had fallen from. He cupped her face in his hands, his human touch against her alien light. I'm not going anywhere, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Not ever. The merging deepened, a silent, profound reaffirmation of their connection, their commitment, their love. They were bound, not just by ritual or duty, but by choice, by shared survival, by the quiet whispers of two hearts finding each other across the vastness of space and difference. Their future was uncertain, still fraught with challenges. But as their light intertwined in the quiet darkness of the node, Caleb knew he had finally found his home. Here with her, in the heart of the week. The days that followed the incursion were a time of rebuilding and reevaluation for the Lumina. The city pulsed with renewed life, the damaged nodes being swiftly repaired, the Weave strengthening its defenses. For Caleb and Kalen, the battle had cemented their place, both within Lumina society and with each other. Their bond was no longer just a matter of ritual. It was a proven strength, a shield against the darkness. The elders, witnessing the power of the bonded guardian firsthand, treated Caleb with a newfound respect, tempered with the expectation of his continued integration and training. His life was now dedicated to the defense of the Weave, working alongside Kalen and the other Lumina warriors. His role as bonded guardian was official, respected, but it also placed him and Kalen in a unique and sometimes awkward position. The traditional role of vessel does not include a permanent bonded partner within the central oracle node. Kalen resonated, her light pulsing with complex emotions as they navigated the subtle shifts in social dynamics. There are discussions among the elders about how our bond reshapes my duty. So, because I showed up and got tied to you, your job description is suddenly TBD? Caleb asked, a hint of dry humor in his tone. Kalen's light flickered with amusement. Such is the consequence of an unbidden anomaly, achieving validation. Human Vance. She still sometimes used his formal designation in public, a nod to tradition, but in private, and through their bond, it was always Caleb. Their relationship had deepened immeasurably. The resonant link allowed for a level of intimacy and undand that words couldn't convey. They shared thoughts, feelings, the subtle nuances of their daily lives, creating a tapestry of shared consciousness woven into the fabric of the weave itself. They continued their training, honing his guardian abilities, learning to work in even closer resonant harmony. They explored the luminous city together. Caleb seeing the intricate beauty of the light structures and the vibrant energy of the weave through Kalen's eyes, guided by her resonance. He learned about their history, their connection to the universe, their ancient conflict with the shadowed kindred. He found a purpose here, a belonging he hadn't realized he was missing. The quiet moments together, away from duty and scrutiny, became precious. Lying intertwined, human and lumina, flesh and light, they found a profound peace in their connection. The merging was no longer a ritual. It was an act of coming home. He still missed Earth sometimes. The familiar weight of gravity, the taste of rain, the crude simplicity of human life. But those moments were fleeting, overshadowed by the vibrant, complex reality he now inhabited. He had lost his old life, his old identity, but he had gained something immeasurable, a purpose, a people, and a bond that transcended everything he had ever known. The thread of the shadowed kindred remained, a distant shadow on the edge of their luminous world. But they would face it together, bonded, integrated, anchored to the weave. Caleb Vance, the former disgraced soldier, and Kalen, the vessel of the oracle, stood ready, their light intertwined, a beacon of defiance against the encroaching darkness. Their story was just beginning, written in light and resonance, in the heart of an alien world, between a human and the glowing woman he loved, bound forever by a whisper, "Don't ever leave me." They